But we'll move on because they did make another move, and we'll get to it at a position of need, with an exclamation point. And I want to get kind of Booner his input on this, and then we'll go to our ball knower here, Lucas, and then of course Gentry. But the Carlton Davis trade that Brad Holmes made, he's giving up draft capital, and that means Brad Holmes has belief in this human being. Like it's in his chest. He has a chest of draft capital. He doesn't give it up for anybody. If he's giving up draft capital, it's because he thinks this player's worth it. And of course he does. He trades for Carlton Davis, corner from the Buccaneers, outside corner, by the way. He's 27 years old. They gave up a third-round pick. This year, they have 2 third-round picks, don't forget. And they get Carlton Davis, a 2024 6th-round pick, and a 2025 6th-round pick. So 2 6th in Carlton Davis. The Lions give up a third this year. Davis was under a contract already. He was a former 2nd-round pick with the Buccaneers. It was like a 3-year, $40-ish million deal. He's actually in the last year of his deal. So he has 1 year left. They get him for 1 year. If you want to sign him, re-sign him, keep him around, you can do that. He's only 27 years old. Guys, and Booner, you know some contacts over in Tampa that know more about Carlton Davis. I'll save my insight for after this, but what'd you hear on Carlton Davis?
Yeah, like as soon as that happened, I obviously big time Stephen Che over in he's a Tampa Bay guy. I texted him and said just give me like a lowdown here on Carlton Davis, because I mean I feel like we've all heard the name, but wasn't sure. Like, all right, you're giving up a 3rd-round pick, you get 2 6 back. I feel like Brad kind of stole this. I know it's $14 million in cap, but from what I heard back here on Carlton, and I know I saw Adam put in the chat, I can't believe people aren't in love with this. I agree with Adam. Like, there's a lot of people on Twitter like, why would you do this? He only had 9 interceptions in his career. He hasn't done much. Like, what has he done? The text that I got about Carlton Davis basically saying, in the first one here, if he's locked in and he's at his best, he is a top 10 cornerback in the NFL. And I got this as well, because what's the main need for the Detroit Lions is you need a corner outside of Cam Sutton who can guard a big time like a big body receiver. Justin Jefferson, DJ Moore, Christian Watson, like you're playing those guys 6 times a year, right? And he texted me, said he's very good. He is borderline excellent against big wide receivers, struggles versus smaller guys, twitchy guys. But guess what? And Lucas texted me this as well. You've got Brian Branch and Cam for that. And he said Christian Watson will not do well against him. And then he sent me some tape of him breaking down him versus Justin Jefferson. He played extremely well versus Justin Jefferson. He's played really well versus Devontae Adams. You can go watch him versus Jamar Chase. I saw a film breakdown that he did on Jamar Chase, and he I think held Jamar Chase under 60 yards and no touchdowns in that game. So like, this isn't in my opinion, it's not a scrub that like you just got for a 3rd round. Like, you went out there and got a dude that Brad knows is going to go in there and compete, and he's probably going to be your corner number 1, because everyone in Tampa, and I've heard on different shows and stuff, everyone in Tampa said that was their cornerback number 1 when he was at his best, and he was a top 10 guy. So at the end of the day, it's like, hey, you just got your corner, and you have Cam on the other side, and then you have Brian Branch in the slot. Like, dude, I think this is huge, to be honest. And it's basically just a 1-year rental, like $14 million. And I'll let Lucas kind of break down more of like the football side of it. But I don't know. I think this is actually a huge piece for like, this is exactly what you needed. You needed a corner who can guard big body receivers, because that's all you play in the NFC North. In the NFC, AJ Brown, like these dudes are dudes you playing in the NFC. Like, you need a guy like this. Is literally what we wanted outside of L'Jarius Sneed. And you got one of the best in the league at it when he's playing at his best. Like, Brad went out there and cooked today. This is huge, I think.
Yeah, and the people that are like, I think the people that are upset at the Carlton Davis signing were just so pent up and so stuck up on that hill that L'Jarius Sneed was going to be a Lion. Face the reality that he's probably not going to be a Detroit Lion, and that's perfectly okay, because like we talked about previous segments ago, that the Detroit Lions are in a spot where they were up 17 in the NFC Championship game. They do not need a L'Jarius Sneed, but you know what they do need? They need a perimeter corner. And Carlton Davis is exactly that. He's also won a Super Bowl. And you go back to Booner's point, you watch the film. He's a long corner that's man-to-man, and he's not too aggressive. So he's not going to be giving you holding and PIs like crazy. Yes, he only has 9 interceptions in his career, but you know why that is? Probably because he's not getting targeted that much. His pass rating allowed is right up there with the best of them. Now, the downside of him, and probably why Brad loves him so much, is he does have injury concerns. So when you put that into account, okay, he's not a cornerback 1, But if you need him to be, he's there. I think he's a very durable and stable cornerback too, but the Detroit Lions needed that. He's better than Kendall Vildor, especially on the outside, and he's definitely better on the outside than Cam Sutton, because I do like Cam Sutton, but even in Pittsburgh, he was a slot type of corner. So not only does Cam Sutton not have to go up on the Justin Jeffersons of the world, you can go and put Carlton Davis, who went on Jamar Chase, A.J. Brown, etc. He's used to going against those guys, especially coming out of the SEC and Auburn. He knows what that's cut for. But now you can allow Cam Sutton to go back into his role. So now Cam Sutton gets better. Brian Branch, he can learn man coverage from this guy. There's so much upside from the signing. And when you get it for a third-round pick, we all loved Max Melton thinking he was going to be in the third round. He's probably not going to be the third round. He's probably going to be a second-round guy. So now you can get a guy like Carlton Davis with a value of a third-round pick. You can hate it all you want, but he's a damn good football player. And as time goes on, you will see that, in my opinion.
Lucas
what about you,
just
Gentry?
cooked. No, I agree. It's a perfect guy length. Obviously, the contract is 4.3, the cap hit, but I still think it's a perfect guy. You only give up almost a fourth rounder. Another guy I was looking at was Sean Murphy-Bunting. I would have been kind of high on him for the Lions, and I'm pretty sure he left Tampa and went to the Cardinals for 3 years, like $14 million or something like that. A pretty favorable contract. But I mean, it's 1 year. You kind of see what you got with him, and then obviously, if you want to bring him back, you can kind of tone down his contract a little bit. But as far as fit goes, it's the perfect guy for the outside. And I think, like Lucas said, a lot of people were kind of wanted the L'Jarius Sneed, wanted that big name, so they might be disappointed in this now. But I think once this pans out, he will be the perfect fit for the Lions. And it was just another Brad Holmes masterpiece, having to give up little to nothing to get him. And I think with those extra picks that he got back, he may even use those to move down in the upcoming draft. So I like it.
You were never too, real quick, Jeff, I'm sorry, you were never going to get a corner like Carlton Davis in the third round this year. You just got to start a corner in the third round, which you would have probably, like, if you were going to get a guy that you're like, he for sure can start on this team to go win a Super Bowl this year, you would have had to move up in the first round and give up probably more capital than you did, way more capital than you did for Carlton Davis. So you just gave up a third and got a starting corner for a Super Bowl run this year. And I know, like, I think it just, like, I think people are so mad and shocked. It's because, like, it just shows, like, hey, L'Jarius Sneed is not coming to Detroit. And I think that's what it is. But again, like, yeah, like those same people are complaining about the $14 million cap hit. Well, guess what? L'Jarius Sneed would have been over 20 million. So, like, and that's like a 4-year cap hit for 20 million. So you can wait till next year and get another corner, or you can even draft a guy again, like a Max Melton still, you still have a third round pick, draft Max Melton to go behind them. And then when you lose that 14 million, you have a third round corner ready to go. Like, there's just so many more like, this is why, and I know people are like, Booner's is slappy. No, this is why Brad Holmes is one of the best in the league, is because he does it a little bit different than some GMs, but he, like, is very smart about the way he goes about it. And, like, a rental on a 1 year for a third round over trying to chase down a first round guy. It's just, to me, it feels it makes more sense than going the L'Jarius Sneed route.
And real quick, before I kind of get into what I think about the Carlton Davis thing, if you're listening or watching, we appreciate you. All newcomers and or subscribers, we're live weekdays, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. So stick around, tune in every single night. We are the best place, all Lions, all Pistons, all Red Wings, all Tigers here in the city of Detroit. So subscribe, like the stream. We appreciate you guys for taking the time. We got a lot more to get into. Real quick, Dom Rivera, shout out to your two sons, Silas and Soli. Thank you guys for listening as well. And by the way, listen to your father. Dom knows best. So I want to make sure I get that through to you guys. Appreciate you all. I do want to say this with Carlton, and this goes back to what you guys kind of spoke on with Carlton Davis. He's played at the highest level. He's won a Super Bowl, of course, with Tom Brady. And you have 1 year. You're not committed to him long term. So if it doesn't work out, let him walk. You're not contractually tied. And he is in a contract year, which, guys, it is a make or break for Carlton Davis. Go out, have a career year. He's 27 years old. He's not some washed, hey, we'll take a flyer on him. No, he's still in the prime of his career. So we'll see what he has to give. I'm assuming they're going to draft another corner in this 2024 NFL draft here in Detroit. It's not over, but I actually don't hate this move at all, guys. And you know how I felt about the Sneed move. It just didn't make sense contractually. It didn't make sense financially, all that stuff. It didn't make any sense. You give up draft capital and you have to give him $20+ million, whatever it was he was asking for, because he wants to get paid. Now you get someone who costs less, who's still a good corner, like you said, can guard big body receivers. That's what they need. So I did not mind this at all. I like it a lot, and I'm glad that you had some connections over there in Tampa, Booner, to give us some more insight on it, because this is what Brad needed to do. Go find a number one corner, not just a number one corner, but someone who has the size and length. He's 6'1". So now you get taller in the cornerback room. He's better than Kendall Vildor. He's better than Jerry Jacobs. They upgraded in their corner room. There's no doubt about it. Free agency is not over. So, yeah, I think we can all safely say that Brad Holmes definitely upgraded there. Whether or not you like the player, I know I saw some comments the Bucs were going to cut him. I don't know if that was the case, because you would have intel on that. At least you would assume. So Brad traded for him. He got a good player, good corner. So I think we all can agree. Coach Walk, thank you for the $10, my man. He says Brad knows what he's doing. He's building for the future, not for one season. Let him cook. And to kind of Coach Walk's point there, guys, I know, we talked a lot about free agency. And if you guys have been subscribing to the channel, you've been following all our free agency content. We brought up a Kendall Fuller. We brought up even a L'Jarius Sneed. We brought up a lot of different options at corner. I did not see Carlton Davis III coming out. We didn't see that one coming.
No.
But it does. Could we agree he's better than Kendall Fuller, or would you?
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I was just about to say that. Especially man-to-man coverage. Because Carlton Davis, just real quick before we move on, he's the exact type of corner that Aaron Glenn can use to open up his scheme, because he is so good at man-to-man. That allows him, especially when you have guys like Brian Branch and Ife Melifonwu in your safety room, to send them even more, because that's going to jam the wide receivers off the line of scrimmage, take longer for the quarterback to go through his progression. By that time, somebody's in his face taking him down to the ground. So that's right. Carlton Davis fits this scheme perfectly, in my opinion.
Again, the text that I got from someone in Tampa saying when he is on his stuff, he is a top 10 corner in this league, and Brad just got him for a 3rd round pick. Like, you would hope that he's going to be ready to go next year, especially like Jeff's. He's on a contract year. Guys like that on contract years usually show out, and he's out there to prove something. He wants to be one of the best in the league, and you got him to go chase a Super Bowl. And guess what, fellas? Guess what we haven't even mentioned yet? That man's won a Super Bowl before. He knows exactly what it takes. He knows exactly what it takes to go get the job done. He was on one of the best defense. Do you guys remember as well how that defense ended the season last year? Outside of the Detroit Lions game, they held like 4 or 5 straight teams to under like 10 points per game, and he was playing some of his best football of his career as well. So like, let's be like honest here. When he's playing well, he's going to be good. You fill out this defense, and Aaron Glenn gets in his bag, which we're hoping and we're expecting this year. He is going to be a big piece.
Well, and let's get this straight too, fellas. Like when he did have his best year, and of course, they went and won a Super Bowl.
Did everyone mention that? And I was zoned out over here.
No, I mentioned it, but to the point though, they had a defensive line, like they were getting to the quarterback, like that. Like and Lucas mentioned this, like what good is any corner if you can't get to the quarterback anyway? So it's not all on Carlton Davis to come in and be Sauce Gardner. It's on what does Brad do to this defensive line, which I assume there's more work to be done there.
Hopefully, Marcus Davenport ain't moving the needle. I'm sorry.
They better make some more moves. I'm over here refreshing my phone, waiting for something to happen.